Hey there guys, welcome to Dinos Vault, and today I'm reviewing the Fazer 25 or the 250, whatever you choose to call it. In this video I'll be sharing all that you need to know about this bike. Together we'll also figure out where this bike fits in, is it a good option to go for, and how different is this bike from its Street Fighter counterpart. I'll also be doing my signature style braking test to test its braking efficacy, and that'll come later in this video. But to begin with, let's start out by figuring out how different is this bike from the FZ25. The Fazer is almost the same motorcycle but for the full fairing that it gets compared to the FZ25. However, there are a few subtle differences when you look closely. The first point to note here is the weight. Now, because of the added fairing, the Fazer 25 is 6 kgs heavier than the FZ. Secondly, as a part of the fairing, we get integrated LED DRLs that look cool and modern, but I wonder how much they can contribute to the overall light spread put out by the headlamp. Next, the overall height of the bike is up by 40 mm again because of the added fairing and the windshield. Another noteworthy thing that I noticed was that the Fazer gets a dual horn system, which is quite audible compared to the single horn of the FZ25, and having a louder and more effective horn in place while riding through the highways always helps. And finally, with the increased weight, I feel the overall mileage of the bike may take a hit as well. The Street Fighter comes with a mileage claim of 43 kmpl, so for the Fazer with the excess weight we can deduct 2 to 3 units from this mileage figure. Well, that's it for the differences. Everything else, including the speedo console, the seat height, the ground clearance, the tank capacity, the wheelbase, etc., are absolutely identical. Now, looking at the design, I myself was confused when I first saw the official images, but believe me, when you look at this bike in flesh, it looks a lot more appealing, carries a lot more road presence on the go because of the full fairing, and the fairing itself comes well integrated and well finished, which is what we expect from Yamaha. The color schemes look pleasing, and the sensibly laid out body graphics further enhance the visual appeal of the bike when witnessed in the flesh. The LED headlamp is the same as that of the FZ25 and comes with 3 lighting elements. But now for the Fazer, we do get what Yamaha call dual LED auxiliary lights to further intensify the light spread at night. However, I still believe a dual headlamp layout like that of the 150cc Fazer would have been much more effective in offering better light spread at night. The rest of the design, but for the fairing, is absolutely identical to that of the FZ25. I love the short and stubby midship muffler. The exhaust has been specially built to offer a sportier exhaust note, and you can listen to the exhaust note in my FZ25 review by following the link appearing on the screen currently. I also like the way the LED tail lamp has come out. It looks pretty fresh, though it's the same as that of the FZ25. The seats are neatly laid out. The cushioning is not too soft nor too hard, just about perfect not to give you a butt ache after long rides. The switches are neatly laid out. We do get a high beam flasher and an engine kill switch. The all digital instrument cluster is the same as that of the FZ25. Now, readouts include a speedometer, odometer, trip meter, tachometer, fuel gauge, clock, real-time fuel consumption and average fuel consumption. Now, looking at the engine specs, powering this bike is a 4-stroke air-cooled single-cylinder 249cc engine that puts out 20.9 PS of max power at 8000 rpm and 20 Newton meters of max torque at 6000 rpm. This comes mated to a 5-speed gearbox. Now, taking the bike out for a short spin, the bike is just as much as torquey as its Street Fighter sibling. The power delivery is nice and smooth. The engine is nice and responsive. The throttle response is light and crisp. The clutch operation is light and easy. The gear shifts are nice and smooth. The ride is very enjoyable. I honestly really loved the FZ25, and this is more or less the same bike just with the added fairing. So the pleasure and joy that fills your heart when you ride a vibration-free, smooth and torquey engine is really satisfying and puts a smile on your face immediately. The power figures might be quite modest on paper, but the bike does indeed offer a ride feel that is quite intriguing and interesting and way beyond what the numbers suggest. You can cruise at 90 km per hour all day long with zero vibrations felt on the handlebar and the foot pegs. The seating ergonomics are well sorted out and comfort is given prominence over everything else, which is the ideal trait of a tourer. The windshield does prove quite effective in fending off wind blast on open stretches. Also, the rear view mirrors offer a good field of view with easy adjustment, which really comes in handy. Now, looking at the brakes, we get a 282mm disc up front and a 220mm disc at the back. Now, I guess it's time for the braking test. You can see me doing speeds of around 63 km per hour here, and I slam on the brakes really hard. You can see that the bike comes to a standstill within just 2.8 8 seconds, which is quite impressive for a non-ABS bike. Now please note that I'm using both the front and rear brakes at a time, and I've put a little more pressure on the front brake compared to the rear brake. The braking is quite effective on this bike, and Yamaha also shared at the time of the bike's launch that they'll introduce ABS for their bikes once it becomes mandatory in 2019. Now looking at the suspension, we get 41mm front forks with 130mm of travel. At the back we get a linkless monocross suspension with 120mm of travel, which is tuned to strike the perfect balance between spring rate and damping force. As a result, the suspension is not too stiff nor is it too soft such that you're left bouncing around all over the place. The shocks do absorb all the undulations effortlessly and offer a nice and pliant ride on our Indian road conditions. Talking about the wheels and tires, we get 17-inch wheels and tubeless tires. We get a 100/80 tire up front and a 140/70 tire at the back. The fatter rear tire offers superb road grip and great confidence while tackling sharp turns at high speeds. Seat height is 795mm, ideal for riders of all sizes ranging between 5 feet 4 inches tall and 6 feet tall. Now ground clearance is 160mm, quite sufficient to clear the speed breakers we'd come across in the city. Tank capacity is 14 liters, which is quite decent, but I would prefer at least a 16-liter tank for a bike that's meant to be a tourer. Now mileage wise, there is no official claim as such, but I believe in real world conditions we can expect anywhere around 33 to 35 kmpl from this bike. Now price ex showroom Hyderabad for the Fazer 25 is Rs 1,29,835, which makes this bike 10k dearer than the FZ25. So coming to my verdict, is it worth paying extra 10k for the Fazer just for the extra fairing? If I were given the option, I'd choose the Street Fighter because it is 6 kgs lighter and as a result is more sprightly and more responsive off the mark. Even the mileage would be better on the FZ because of its lightweight. So my suggestion for you guys would be that if you frequently do highway rides, then the added fairing would make a difference in fending off the wind blast. But if you predominantly ride within the city and occasionally go touring, then I guess the FZ25 would suffice and you can spend that extra 10k you save in buying some good riding gear instead. Well, that's pretty much it for now. I just hope you found this video useful. Until next time, this is Dino saying ciao. Take care, God bless and ride safe.